Before we get into the video, I want to announce that I actually have Emo Pete's up for sale right here. Look at that little Emo Pete. I love them. They're so cute. They're so punchable, and they're for a limited, very, very limited time, and there's only a few of them. So if you want to go grab one now. And my movie, House on Eden, is finally coming out for you guys in theaters and on Shudder soon. But you can go check out a sneak peek trailer. I have it in my community posts, but you can just look up House on Eden and you can see the sneak peek trailer. You go comment on it, hype it up. I'm so excited. It's been so long. I appreciate your guys' patience. Man, I'm excited. Lots of really good things. But anyway, let's get back to the video. If you guys want more of an in-depth recap of season 1, you can go to this video first if you want. If not, I'm gonna kind of recap season 1 really quickly, just so we're all on the same page, okay? So season 2 of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives premiered on Thursday, May 15th on Hulu. They're in direct competition with Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And for a minute, the show was actually doing even better than them, so it's kind of crazy to think about. But anyway, the Hulu description of the show is: the scandalous world of a group of Mormon mom influencers implodes when they get caught in the midst of a swinging scandal that makes international headlines. Now, their sisterhood is shook to its core. Faith, friendship, and reputations are all on the line. Will #MomTalk be able to survive and continue to give the rulebook a run for its money? Or will this group fall from grace? Spoiler alert, their shit falls from grace and hits the motherfucking fan, okay? It's crazy. That part of the reason going over this is because I am on TikTok, okay? So I've seen these women before, and the whole scandal thing, the swinger scandal thing, which was just crazy. And I'm a woman, and I just like drama, okay? My life is pretty boring without drama lately, which I'm not complaining about, but I seek it in television, like a lot of people do. But I think a little breakdown of what Mormonism is important as well, so I'm gonna do a really quick one. Again, if you wanna go to this video, I do a massive breakdown of Mormonism. I think it's pretty interesting. But here's the cliff notes. So Mormonism is a common nickname for the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, aka the LDS Church. And people in the church are often called Mormons, but they do prefer Latter-day Saints or LDS members. At least the serious ones do. And the term Mormon comes from the Book of Mormon, one of the main religious texts alongside the Bible. And their core beliefs are God is seen as a personal, loving father, and Jesus Christ is central to everything. And they believe in his teachings, his atonement, and his resurrection. But what kind of splits them from Christianity is that they believe in modern day prophets who receive ongoing revelations from God. Like voicemails on your phone from God just giving you updates, basically. And they also believe that families are forever and marriage and family are sacred and eternal. So even if you split from someone, technically the wife is still like attached to the husband, but the husband can split off. And like if they die and then they go to heaven, then the man will technically have like multiple wives and he'll be like a sister wife in heaven. It's interesting stuff. Again, I go into more detail in my last video. But anyway, and essentially everyone is responsible for doing good, being self-reliant, and helping others. So, you know, some good values in there. And the overall church life is that everyone pitches in. Members are asked to take roles like teaching, leading, or helping others. And only men can hold priesthood, but the women do have leadership roles and equal spiritual responsibilities. But in watching the show and in knowing some Mormons, the equal is not the term I'd use. And popular practices are missionary work, temple worship, family history research, and family home evening, which is like a weekly family night, which, I mean, I had weekly family nights. I think that's great. And what they tend to avoid is no coffee, tea, alcohol, tobacco, or drugs. And instead, they just drink swig. Utah is just like, they love their pop or soda. They're just like soda heads because that's the only thing that they can drink. So it's just like simple syrup through the roof in Utah. And they value modesty, clean living, and staying sexually pure until marriage. But some things have changed through revelation, such as polygamy, which is having more than one spouse. And that was ended in 1890. And in 1978, the priesthood was open to all worthy men, regardless of race. So back in the day, it was sketchy. And the church can evolve, and they believe that God continues to guide them through modern prophets. Basically leaving the message on the phone, basically being like, hey, actually, we're gonna switch things up, okay? Tell everybody on earth. And that is like a very simple recap. Also, no hate to anybody that's Mormon. I'm just trying to put this in like layman's terms for people, basically. So here's the little recap of season 1. So basically, a loosely connected group of Mormon momfluencers gained notoriety in 2022 after their prominent member, Taylor Frankie Paul, she's like the queen bee, the leader of the group, sparked a major scandal, which is basically her publicly revealing that she and several others had participated in soft swinging. Which, if you don't know what that is, it basically refers to couples engaging in sexual activity with each other's partners without full sexual intercourse. Soft swinging. And it shocked everybody because apparently it's not that taboo in the community. Not that everybody does it. I'm not saying everybody does it, but it is known. And even before the controversy erupted, the group's manager had already been pitching their lifestyle as a potential reality TV series. And once the scandal broke, a deal was swiftly finalized. It's giving Kim Kardashian's sex tape and Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but it's fine. But despite its somewhat provocative beginnings, the series quickly attracted viewers by providing an entertaining, occasionally perplexing window into the everyday world of Utah's Latter-day Saints community, albeit a very dramatized version. Or maybe not. I don't know. This is their lives, you know? And I think that's where the Mormon church kind of comes in, and they don't appreciate the show that much. Needless to say, they don't like the show because they think it represents them in a bad way. And in one memorable 2-part episode, for instance, in the first season, the moms gathered for like a cocktail hour inspired soda party where drink specialists just concocted customized non-alcoholic beverages, playfully nodding to the Mormon prohibition on alcohol. But then the episode just casually pivots into surprising revelations, like several of the women get regular Botox together purely to enjoy the laughing gas, which is crazy. And 2 others admitted they'd attend joint ketamine therapy sessions. So it's just all kind of crazy. They're like the bad Mormons. So there are the sinners and the saints also. They kind of got labels. There's like the good girls and the bad girls. The girls that either like left the church or they have divorced, because that makes you a sinner, I guess. And then there's the saints who still regularly attend church, still wear, you know, garments and I don't know, are like true Mormons, I guess. But let's go over the season 1 cast. First, we have Taylor Frankie Paul, basically their queen. She's a leader and founder of the group. She has the most followers, and she kick-started the soft swinging scandal. And in season 1, the drama with her was that she was pregnant with Dakota's baby, and she was trying to figure out if she wants to actually be with him or if she should leave him. But she ends up having the baby, but then there's cheating allegations at the end of the season. And then there's Demi, and people just loved her by the end of the show. She was like the hero in the show, and she was super empowering towards the other girls. But that little weird thing about Demi is that she met her husband Brett when she was 9 and he was 25, and he was also having children, and he was married at the time. Obviously, she didn't get married when she was 9. She got married when she was a little older and of age legally, but strange, and nobody really talks about it, and I find that a little strange. But by the end of season 1, everybody kind of thought that she would be the new leader of the group, potentially. But she was clearly the fan favorite. And the drama started for season 2 even before season 2 came out, because the poster for season 2 came out, and Demi was in the back of the group poster. She was in that back right corner, left corner, whatever you're looking at. And people were like, wow, what's happening? She was a fan favorite. Why is she in the back? Oh my God. And she just started to stir. And by then I forgot everything that happened. I had to recap season 1, but we'll get into that, because Demi, she flips the script in season 2. She's a bitch. Anyway, then we move on to Jen Affleck. No, she's not related to Ben Affleck, even though she claims she was. And she basically had her husband labeled as the worst husband of the season because he was very controlling and rude. I don't think he changes that much in season 2, but a lot of people are like, oh my God, he has a redemption arc, but I think he's still kind of a piece of shit. But anyway, the drama surrounding Jen is that she kind of got dragged to a Chip and Dale show, and her husband did not appreciate that at all. And he was threatening to divorce her because she wasn't obeying him. And as a Mormon, wives are supposed to do what their husbands say, even though she didn't inherently do anything. Like she didn't do anything at the event. There was just like dancers dancing, you know, and the text messages are disturbing from that. But it just kind of goes to show the dynamic between a lot of the husbands and the wives, and just like the men and women in general in this community, at least on the show. There's like the men are up here and the women are down here, and it's very hard to watch sometimes, especially with Zach and Jen. But at the end of the first season, Zach and Jen move to NYC because he is going to medical school. And she kind of wanted to distance herself from the girls because she was a bit of an outcast by the end of the season. And then there's Jessie, who is just like CEO, founder of Jay-Z Hair, girl boss, basically. And she was actually the instigator for the whole Chippendale situation in season 1. And she's like a bad girl. She's like one of the center bad girls. And then there's Layla, who joined the Mormon church at 16, married at 19, got divorced at 21, and had 2 kids in there all together, which is crazy to me, but not uncommon in the community. And not much happened during season 1 for her. She was kind of a background character, but her big thing in season 1 is that she has never climaxed. I'm sorry. But yeah, anyway. And then there's Macy, who's just kind of friends with everyone and called out Taylor's man for his shitty behavior. She's a girl's girl. And at the end of season 1, she's on the phone with Jenna, who's a woman who claimed to be involved with Taylor Frankie Paul's baby daddy while he was first seeing Taylor. So as we know, that at the end of the season, Taylor's man, Dakota, was known to potentially be cheating, and we get those answers in season 2. And then there's Michaela. She was married at 16, and her husband was 21. Apparently that's legal where they're from. And she was also kind of a background character in season 1. And she was the one that had the birthday where Whitney showed up unannounced. And that was like the most awkward drama ever and seemed super scripted. And then Whitney Levitt, she's like the antagonist. She's like the villain in season 1, and she is kinda in season 2 as well. But she was the one that went viral for dancing with her sick RSV baby in the hospital. Here's a clip. Just so off color. And in the first season, her husband had a Tinder account that she found, and that was all really awkward, and some people thought that he might be gay also, and it was a whole thing. And they decided during that season whether they were going to stay together or not, and they ended up staying together. And she also missed a mom talk event, which ruffled everyone's feathers. And then she showed up at another event, which was the birthday party that she wasn't invited to, which also ruffled feathers. And at the end of the season, she was still like the overall villain. And that's when we get to season 2. Glad that's over. So season 2, it starts, and the intro is just, it's crazy. It basically, it opens on the girls praying, and then it kind of intercuts between them, like swearing and just doing crazy shit. It's like, our Father. And it's like, and art in heaven. That's not exactly how it goes. I can't remember what the prayers were, but it was very funny. I was laughing immediately, so I appreciate that. This is probably when I should have just turned the show off, but I was already committed. I was already in it, and I did it for you. So like the video, please God. But this season overall felt a bit more surface level. Like most of the girls were really just looking to become more famous in this season than they already were. And it just kind of showed through like scripted type drama to make it seem more entertaining, I guess. It just seemed like it wasn't, not that the first season was serious in any way, but they did touch on some like important topics. And it's not that they didn't touch on important topics in this one, but I felt like everything was up here. Like if they got deep with anything, they didn't stay there and it just went back up here. Like there's a moment when one of the other girls goes to therapy and she's going about like experiences she had when she was a little kid and like getting abused, and that they didn't go anywhere with that, and it just kind of cut out, and I was like, okay, we were actually getting somewhere there, and then they just didn't do anything. Mostly it's just about catty bullshit the whole time. Season 1 at least had some substance. It was like a nice hearty soup, and then season 2 was like a lukewarm Diet Coke from Swig. It was just a huge, giant hair extension measuring contest, which is figuratively and for real because it seems like everyone had something tweaked a smidge in this season. Whether it's like more filler, more hair, or more surgery, everybody's like slowly morphing into the same person, which is fine. Like, do you, whatever makes you feel better about yourself. But I feel like I'm watching a knockoff of Keeping Up with our Kardashians, or like a who can look more plastic competition rather than a Mormon Wives reality show. And it's just hard because like I'm all for women feeling their best, but in this situation, I think it's just more of the need for these women to feel like they need to like one up each other in the show, and they need to fit this impossible beauty standard that's already in society, but I think it's extremely prominent it in the Mormon community that everybody needs to look a certain way. So that's why they all literally look like the same person. And don't get me started on how much money that costs. I can't even imagine, like hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep that up. So it's like hair extensions, Botox, any type of surgery, fillers, like it all adds up. So it's just kind of crazy. And then, little girls watching it, they're like, oh, I gotta look like that. It's not good. Meanwhile, the men can all just go to fucking Supercuts, get a number 4, and be good to go. But just with the overall pressure of fame and looking a certain way in their community, it seems that it has become just all-encompassing for these women to be as hot as possible. And that's where the second season lies for me. So with that, let's go over our season 2 cast of lookalike doppelgangers. We have basically the same entire cast with Taylor, Demi, Layla, Jen, Michaela, Macy, Whitney, and Jesse. And then we have a new cast member who will fit into the fold, and that is Miranda McWhorter. And she said that she basically swerved the first season of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives as she didn't want her divorce to play out on TV because she was going through a divorce during the filming of it. And overall, in the second season, she was pretty much like a sweet character. But we'll get into it, okay? Let's just dive in, and I'm just going to give recaps of the episodes and the drama and give you my opinions. But anyway, we open on the premiere, and that is Gracie Lou Cowboy Pillows influencer event. And no, it is not a pillow fight party. It quite literally means pillows, as in a euphemism for boobs and butts. God's like, yeah! So the moms straddle mechanical bulls also while analyzing the brand health of #MomTalk. And that's when Whitney enters. She's pregnant and kind of out of sync with everything. And at this point, she's missed Taylor's baby shower and she's ghosted Macy's brand launch. And she has rage quit the group chat. So everybody's just kind of like, no. But as always, the line between exiled mom talk and booked and busy is blurry when your job is just being an influencer. So she kind of like has to show up, right? Because it's mom talk. But the rest of the women look at her like she's committed to sacrilege by peeing in their soda. But Whitney's not the only chaos agent in this episode, because we meet Miranda, the newbie. So she was knee deep in that soft swinging scandal in the last season, off camera, obviously. And she's now divorced and rebranding and desperately trying to claw her way back into the inner circle, into the popular group. And her strategy is basically just to deny everything, saying, I've never touched a wiener, not once. Which I don't know what that does, okay. And Taylor is just exhausted from Dakota's last infidelity and treats Miranda like background noise, basically. And speaking of Dakota, Taylor's baby daddy and secret liar, he's now been fully exposed thanks to the alliance between Taylor and his side chick, Jenna. So the two women meet up and trade receipts, and they cross-reference timelines and text messages like FBI agents, which is kind of like girl boss. I love that. And it turns out Dakota took Jenna to dinosaur museums and trampoline parks, which sounds more like babysitting than cheating, but it's still cheating, I guess. Just like, I don't know how to cheat or anything, but I don't think that's the best way to go about it. I don't know. It's just weird. But the worst part is that he told Jenna he's only with Taylor for clout, which is like a huge hit to the face. Meanwhile, Zach, Jen's estranged husband, because they took several months off from each other after season 1, and Zach actually didn't go to med school and he took a year off. He probably just failed, in my opinion. And then he just shows up with a new haircut, a weekend bag, and some shitty carnations and just tries love bombing Jen. And Jen then just lays out all the conditions, which is empathy, equality, and freedom to go to Chippendales without being threatened with divorce. Bottom of the barrel shit. And he reacts like she just asked him to self-castrate with toenail clippers. It's so weird. The dynamic between men and women in this specific community, at least the one that we're seeing on TV, it's so not equal. You'll see throughout all the episodes, you see the men interacting with each other and them interacting with the women, and it is so different. It's like they're always talking to little children. When the men talk to their wives or to any of the women, it's like, you do this, you do that. Who the fuck are you talking to? A grown woman? It's just so awkward and weird. And it's hard to be like, Jen, come on, be a boss bitch. But she's been conditioned her whole life to think that she is, kind of lesser than a man. Like, you have to obey your husband. You have to do whatever they say. And you will get looked down upon if you divorce your husband. So it's just a thing that plays out that is just uncomfy in this episode and throughout the season, honestly. But elsewhere, Miranda sees an opportunity and pounces, attempting to recruit Whitney. And they kind of bond over being frostbitten and friendless. And Miranda invites the women to a happy hour at her house, hoping for some kind of comeback. But some of the girls headed to a haunted house, Fear Factory, where they giggled about Miranda's obvious thirst for clout. It's just so Mean Girls cliquey bullshit. It's like hard to watch. And the show just kind of continues to wrestle with its internal saint-sinner labeling system, because Jesse and Demi are divorced, which makes them sinners, and Macy is widowed, which makes her a saint, and Michaela is ex-Mormon, but she has good vibes, so that means she's a saint of sinners. I have no idea. So the moral lines are just really blurred, but that's like just a pattern through the season. And then we're back to Taylor's place, and things get worse because her mom drops in with basically a new face, but I guess it's just a new nose job. And her mom's now morphing into one of them. And basically she just tells Taylor that she should have chosen better and that she should keep trying to make it work with Dakota, even though he cheated, albeit at a museum and at a trampoline park, but it still counts. And she just gets like gaslit by her mom, and it's super awkward, and Taylor kind of pushes back, referencing her own abandonment issues, and there's just like this generational divide between them. And then we go to a retreat in Utah that Jen and Zach are at, where they're getting ketamine couples treatment, because apparently if it's okay with a doctor, then it's okay with God, which is convenient. And Zach claims that he's ready to grow, that he's grown. And Jen's ego just like dissolves and nausea kicks in. And somewhere a producer asks if Zach is going to apologize for being a misogynistic asswipe. Just reality TV at its finest. And as the episode ends, Dakota finally packs up and leaves Taylor's house after admitting to everything, including with sleeping with Jenna in Taylor's bed, which is disgusting. So I guess they didn't just go to an amusement park or whatever the they did. And his farewell monologue is just soaked in guilt and hollow promises and just bullshit. And then we're back at Miranda's big retreat, and the women gather just awkward and skeptical, and Macy cuts to the chase, asking Miranda what she actually wants. But before the real answers come, the episode hits hyperspeed and a teaser reel of what's to come, which is police run-ins, secrets, betrayals, rubbing on people, and more mom talk meltdowns. And that's what brings us to episode 2. And I'm gonna speed run these episodes because I know it's a lot. So we're back at Miranda's, and she's just talking about all of her church guilt, basically. And then Taylor brings up Miranda's ex, who's Chase. Remember Chase? And Chase confessed feelings for Taylor after Taylor told Chase about a sex dream that she had about him, which is so fucking weird and like something I feel like teenagers would do. It's like,
I had a sexy dream about you.
And he's like, oh, really? Really? That's kind of hot. Like, these are grown-ups. So Taylor offers a shitty apology for what happened and that she should have told her ahead of time when he confessed his feelings and everything. But then we're hit with the big surprise, and that is that there's a Halloween party. There's gonna be a Halloween party at Jesse's house, and everyone is invited from the soft swinging scandal. What could go wrong? So now we're doing Halloween prep, and Layla introduces her new boyfriend Cameron, who's a Mormon soccer coach, and her new boobs, which, slay. And meanwhile, we hard cut to Zach, Dakota, and Jordan, who are basically washed up man children, and they're just spitting cereal back into bowls. Like, these guys, the men in this show, no redeeming qualities. Like Swig, the pop shop, the soda shop, should start offering free divorces with every soda purchase for these women, I swear to God. And then Dakota invites his friends fly fishing to brood and fix things with Taylor. And then Zach meets with Demi and Jesse wearing matching trench coats like Mormon Charlie's Angels, and just fails to apologize and says Chippendales made him look bad, which, like, obviously it did. You were a literal psychopath to your wife. And then we go to Taylor's family barbecue. Oh my God, was this hard to watch? Because the family invited Dakota, her shitty man-child person who cheated on her at the trampoline park or whatever. And Taylor is just ambushed with blame at this party. It is so, like, that line with them treating women and men the same, that that is not a thing. Like, this is men and this is women, and this is like a clear understanding of that at this barbecue. Taylor's mom just kept saying, like, keep trying with him, even though he cheated on her. And the dad just called the relationship a foundation of shit and blamed her, and like, it kept pointing his finger at Taylor, being like, and it's like your fault and it's you. Meanwhile, Dakota's sitting there, the man who cheated on this guy's stepdaughter, and he's not getting any flack at all. It is so awkward. And then Taylor's brother suggests that she's not sacrificing enough, and then Dakota calls her slutty for asking to hang out at night, even though it takes two, motherfucker, okay? Like, she's getting berated that she slept with Dakota so early, but Dakota is slept with her too. And then the sister kind of comes through the weeds and offers like sound advice, like to separate and to do therapy and to get a new job or whatever. But then she drops the bomb, like, Satan's in your mind. And then I'm like, okay, well, just no winning. So Taylor was just getting like stoned at this family barbecue, and it just sucked to watch. And then Zach and Jen kind of talk about everything that Zach was talking about with the other girls, and then Jen's kind of thrown resentment like confetti, and that's a whole thing. And then there's the Chippendale prep and mom talk womanhood spectrum, where Demi and Jesse hire a real Chippendales dancer, Jason, and the husbands are like taught to grind as a revenge gift for Jen, because remember, Jen went to the Chippendales thing in the first season and Zach got really mad at her, the husband. So they're just like throwing gasoline on the fire right now, because Jen and Zach are gonna be at this Halloween party, and now Demi and Jesse are bringing Chippendales people. Like, a way to put your friend in like the most awkward situation. Like, it's so petty and weird, and again, like, mean girly. I hate it. And then Whitney who's just pregnant and unbothered, shops for spooky onesies. She's just off in her own world, and I kind of love that for her. And then comes the Halloween chaos, where the costumes have like Taylor as Gretchen Wieners from Mean Girls versus J-Lo and Ben Affleck, and Chase, who's Miranda's ex, extreme guy, shows up just to stir the pot, and he acts like pals around Dakota, and he hints he may have slept with Taylor, and he just overshares temple stories, but obviously the producers were loving it. And this is where like Taylor fumes as Dakota like fails to defend her at this point, and Chase is like, this is where Chase is like poking his finger and waving his finger and like demeaning any woman that he's talking to. Meanwhile, Brett and Jordan are getting oiled up for their Chippendales debut, but just before the male stripper finale, police can arrive, and Chase is accused of inappropriate touching, which was like, if any, I mean, we don't really have a good angle, but he like poked, I think it was Demi, while he was like walking past, and then she's like, oh my, he touched me, he manhandled me. I can't remember what she said exactly, but it was as if he like grabbed her, threw her over his shoulder, like slapped her ass or something, and then her husband got really mad, ran out, and was like, what did you do to my wife? And then they talked to each other, and he was able to talk it down. It was just really weird. And then we get into episode 3, which just picks up mid-party with Taylor and Chase debating the extent of their past intimacy, and Layla bluntly tells Chase to just move on, signaling a push for emotional honesty and boundary setting. And then outside, Chase allegedly touched Demi, but again, unclear footage, and they're able to like simmer everything down because Brett went after Chase because he touched Demi, and he's just like, dude, I barely even touched her, and he's like, all right, man. Like, again, like the men talking to each other, it changes completely. Like when they're with the women, they're just like, what did you do? What did you say? What did you? And then they get the men to men, it's just like, oh, dude, yeah, I know she's an idiot. It's just like, ooh. And then inside, Zach and Jen are confused, and then Jen is surrounded by shirtless dancers, something she previously approved technically, but Zach later uses against her. And like, her approval was her saying yes to something she didn't even understand, she didn't give consent for, and that's a big thing in this season, is like, oh, you didn't consent, or I did consent, and this and this. And I don't think they know what consent means, because she didn't consent to having somebody grind their against her in front of her husband, which I can't believe these people. And then we go to Michaela, and Halloween is pretty painful for Michaela because it's the anniversary of disclosing her childhood sexual abuse, and she attends a therapy session with a trauma specialist, and they basically role play exercises focusing on reclaiming power. And the scene is super raw and emotional, and underscores the contrast between influencer life and private trauma, but they don't go into it enough. Like, I'm like, wow, this is like the first thing that's happening that actually we're feeling something, we're learning something, and she's being very vulnerable, and I feel like it's just not looked into enough, you know? And then we go back to surface level shit. Whitney has her baby at some point in this episode, and then Taylor confronts Miranda about her true extent of her role in the swinging scandal, and Taylor just kind of outlines all the problematic behavior, like X acts in close proximity, blindfolded games, suggested content on camera, and Miranda agrees and accepts accountability, which is, how big? And they kind of just reconcile quietly, which kind of like cements Miranda's re-entry into mom talk. And then Whitney invites Taylor and Macy over to see her newborn, and they kind of like reconcile, but Taylor and Macy are like remain cautious with it. And then we move on to another deeper part of this season that I think was really raw and emotional, and probably the most interesting thing in season 2, which is Jen's pregnancy reveal. So Jen takes a pregnancy test after being 10 days late, and it's positive, but her reaction is just fear and sadness and just not joyful at all when she reveals it to Zach, her piece of shit husband. And she basically just questions her future and her marriage, and the moment is just deeply vulnerable and very emotionally charged. And she just says that she doesn't feel ready to bring a child into this marriage, especially since it's so rocky. And she says, I should be happy looking at this, but I'm not. I'm really scared. And it's just very raw and I think very real for some women. So I did, I didn't like this part of the episode, but I appreciated it, I guess. And Jen falls into a depression and is basically friendless at this point too. Like nobody's there to support Jen. And I feel so bad for her. Like there's a moment that we get into where Whitney comes and visits and kind of helps her out, but like literally all the women are just catty fucking bitches when Jen's going through it. And they all know that she's in a super toxic relationship, and that now she's having a baby with this man who's super toxic. I don't know. It's just really sad. And that's what brings us to episode 4, where Layla and her new boyfriend Cameron share a kiss on the Ferris wheel. And Cameron was raised Mormon and his father was a bishop, and he's just now considering trying like alcohol and edibles, and Layla realizes that they actually may not be compatible because of this. And then Layla vulnerably admits that she may die without ever experiencing an orgasm. She still hasn't had an orgasm. I feel so bad for this queen. And this just kind of signals her evolution and desire for deeper intimacy despite fear, and it just kind of amplifies the fact that women, it just doesn't matter how women feel in these relationships as much as it does the man. Again, it's just highlighting the not so good part of this, basically. And then Macy drops a bomb that Brett actually cheated on Demi while she was away. And the whole group is like visibly unsettled, and it's really awkward, and especially given Demi's status as like the brand focused leader. She's like the clean brand chick. And then the conversation kind of shifts to Jen and Zach, and Jen's line that Zach allows her to be herself. And this just kind of raises red flags about autonomy and control again. And then Brett, Jordan, and Zach hit the range as dudes do to decompress, because life's really hard as a dude. And then Zach falsely suggests that Jen's Chippendales moment bordered on assault. It just contradicts her consent. And then they joke about launching dad talk, missing the emotional labor that powers mom talk. They're just tone deaf idiots, basically. And then Taylor and Dakota end up actually going to therapy, and dramatic editing underscores the fragility of their progress. And Dakota apologizes sincerely, but it's like familiar territory with no follow-through guaranteed, basically. And then Demi hosts this like sex coach party thing where they do like blindfolded sensory exploration, and this kind of helps Layla because Layla's the one that's struggling with her own intimacy, so that's like nice. And then the group does a truth box where they all put like anonymous confessions into this truth box and then pull them out. Why the are we doing this as adults? This seems crazy. But then one note says that Jen is fake. All of them knowing like where she is in life and what's happening and how she's extremely upset about her marriage and having a baby, all this stuff. And then tension spikes immediately. And then we get into episode 5, and the episode just opens on the aftermath of the anonymous truth box message of I think Jen is fake. Also, there was a smiley face next to it, which is fucked up. And then Jen just breaks down in tears. And then Whitney at this point extends an olive branch and invites the group to her newborn's baby shower for baby Billy, which reminds me of the show Righteous Gemstones, which the character of Walton Goggins is Uncle Baby Billy. This guy. If you haven't watched this, you should watch this show. If you like this show, you're gonna love this show, okay? Go watch it because it's really funny. But anyway, and Miranda suspects that Demi, Michaela, Layla, and Jesse were the ones behind that message in the truth box about Jen. So there's like fractures happening in the group left and right. And then Jesse and Demi opt out of Whitney's baby shower that she invited everybody to, and they plan hibachi dinner instead, claiming it's not about Whitney, it's about not supporting Jen, which is wild again. Like they know that she's struggling with this relationship so much, and they like go out of their way to plan a dinner to hurt someone else. I'm not Mormon or anything, but I don't think God appreciates that behavior. And then Jen just breaks down and tells Zach that she's overwhelmed and just constantly crying, and Zach dismisses mom talk as all drama and questions its purpose, which I, for once, kind of agree with Zach being like, these are not people that love you, you know? It's like, when does it stop being friends and start being just business partners? Not even business partners, like business competition. I still don't like Zach though. Her piece of shit husband. And like, although he proves a point here, it does still show Zach's continued emotional disconnect from Jen's reality, because it is her life. And there's other fights all through this, like all the girls like have a fight about, like, this girl posted this TikTok and it seemed like she was passive aggressively making fun of me, so I'm gonna go talk to this girl and she's gonna tell me other stories. It's just so many fractures. I could literally be talking about this for hours. I'm gonna try not to, just trying to focus on like the very main things, you know? And then at Whitney's baby shower, Jen tries to rebuild her relationship with Taylor, who asks her real issue is with Demi. And Jen says Demi let a man kiss her during a truth or dare in Italy, and Taylor is unimpressed, to say the least. And then Taylor reveals a rumor that Brett actually cheated on Demi, and this just causes a big shift in power dynamic. And over at the hibachi dinner, Demi, Jesse, Michaela, and Layla discuss Jen versus Whitney. And the overall consensus is that Jen is manipulative, lies, and plays the victim. Demi vows that if Jen ever attacks her, like emotionally or whatever, she won't be subtle, and she says, it'll be a bloodbath. Like, Demi, the fan favorite of season 1, and now in season 2, is just like a vindictive, envious, jealous, just focused solely on the money, like just kind of the main sinner of this season. Like, she went downhill, in my opinion. Like, she really showed her true colors. And then we're on episode 6, and this is when Jen has her mental health crisis. So it's a travel day for the girls' Scottsdale trip, and Jen is just missing. So this is when Whitney goes to check up on her at home and finds that she's in an emotional crisis. And Jen just confesses that she had thoughts of not wanting to be alive again, just like very emotional and very real and raw and just really hard to watch. And I'm really glad that the show decided to stop filming Jen, because it's just not good for her. She's clearly not in a good place. And then all the other moms arrive on a party bus, and they're all just asking about Jen. And then Whitney shares with Jen's permission that Jen is actually pregnant, because they didn't know at this point that she was pregnant. I don't know if I said that before, but they knew that she was struggling in her relationship. They didn't actually know that she was pregnant as well. Not that that excuses all this shitty behavior, in my opinion. Even with that information, the group just reacts with like cold detachment. Macy says, well, they don't protect. They never protect. And Layla jokes that it's a Band-Aid baby, which, I don't know. They're just mean girls. It's just a big mean girls thing. And then Whitney is just stunned by their lack of compassion despite shared experiences with pregnancy and depression. Like, all of these women have gone through very similar things, like with their growing up and having to have babies really, really early and not really understanding, like, is this who I am? They didn't really have a time to figure out who they are before they had babies. So the fact that they share no sympathy for Jen is just, again, just mean girly, like cliquey. It's weird. And then the girls turn back to the truth box, and Jessie admits that she has photo proof of her husband's anatomy, and Demi insists Brett couldn't cheat and they've only been apart for 5 days total. You can cheat in 5 days. I've heard of worse. And Whitney defends missing Macy's launch, saying it led to personal growth. And Demi considered ousting Jessie from Mom Talk to get better contract deals, because she said, like, Jessie already makes so much money with her hair business. She doesn't need to make any more money. We need to make more money, or I need to make more money, so she should just be out of this. So she's basically shitting on Jessie, who's supposed to be her, like, best friend. And like, meanwhile, Jessie's just being girl boss, like trying to make as much money as possible and get brand deals. It's not her fault that she's on the show. So Demi is just showing all kinds of greed and her true colors again. And after this is when Jen is announced that she has stepped away, which I'm glad, because Jen just needs to focus on her mental health. And then there's a pickleball event, and Whitney just shifts attention off drama with Michaela by reigniting Demi and Jessie contract tension that we knew about before, how Demi wanted to kick Jessie out to get more money. And then Taylor calls Demi out, saying, why do you think you deserve the biggest brand deals? And then Demi calls herself a fan favorite and an asset, which is a major reality TV faux pas. I mean, like, if we are actually looking at the numbers, okay? Taylor has the most followers by far. Again, not that it fucking matters, but clearly all these girls care about are numbers and money and all that shit. And Demi is like, middle line, and just because she was a fan favorite in season 1 means she's a fan favorite in season 2. She just looks at other people and compares herself rather than just focusing on herself, and it's just really toxic. And it's also just very prevalent in the industry I'm in too. That's why I just have like Selena, a few friends, you know? I know so many people like this and it's so exhausting. But this just seems like perfect timing for Demi to kind of get like the sympathy card, and she starts talking about her infertility issues and everything, which is, you know, awful and very real and for a lot of women. But it's like suspiciously well timed and kind of diffuses the dinner table tension. And then the moms go out clubbing, just leading to convos about competition versus jealousy. And then we get into episode 7, where the moms wear matching leggings in a group dance, which is a symbolic attempt of unity, which I think is really funny. And then Whitney asks the big question, am I back on Mom Talk? And an emergency vote is held. like it's a little 12-year-old club. And everyone says no except for Taylor, and Whitney is like officially out, which like, just go, just leave, don't come back. This is so toxic. And then we have a Taylor and Dakota update, and that's that they're still sleeping together, they're still calling it stepping back, and they're still out of baby wipes, and basically nothing has changed. This is when we see Zach, who's still being filmed even though Jen took a step back, and he tells Connor and Whitney that Jen cries at 90% because of the girls, and suggests Demi and Brett may pursue legal action to suppress rumors, and he delivers the ominous line, I have nothing to lose, so we'll see. And then we have a Taylor and Dakota update number 2, where Gavin advises Dakota to cement himself in self-love and set up as a father. So he's finally kind of stepping up. And then we have Friendsgiving and the Mormon bake-off. And the absentees are Jordan and Jesse, because they're in Mexico, and obviously Jen and Zach. And the energy in this is kind of calm for once, and they all bake something, and it's kind of like a Mormon contradiction on full display. It's like all this drama. Oh, and then we have a bake-off, and then we're all good, and we're all like traditional, and everything's fine. It's just, I don't know. The switch up is crazy. And then at dinner, all that nice stuff just leaves, and Layla reignites Demi and Brett cheating scandal, and Demi just doubles down that they're always together, and that he'd need a spy to cheat. I don't know if that's good. And Macy then demands proof, despite organizing anonymous confessions herself. And we have another Taylor and Dakota update, and that's that Dakota gives Taylor an ultimatum, and Brett offers advice and asks Taylor if she thinks she's worthy of love. And then Connor chimes in to discuss himself, because the men just love to make it about themselves and just belittle the women constantly. It's just like the men's behavior, it just continues to undermine the women's autonomy over and over again. It's just like so uncomfortable. Now we're into episode 8, and that's Taylor's CMA milestone, because Taylor attended the CMAs to present an award, which was a huge career moment for her, and then she obviously posted it on Instagram expecting support from Mom Talk, but it was radio silent. No comments, no fire emojis, no slay queens, nothing. And apparently this is a big deal. So Taylor vents on Instagram stories, and the group defends themselves with claims of private texts. And then Demi retaliates publicly, saying, don't feed the ego, you don't need her, BB. And then the digital war just ignites. Again, just like, we're here. It's so surface level. It's so mean girl. It's so not important, but I'm still watching it. And then eventually they all like start talking, and Taylor starts to like say that she regrets the online war and everything, and they kind of step towards reconciliation. It's just a shit show. And during the reconciliation, Demi like Taylor sends out a big apology or whatever, and Demi is just like so cold, and she really is just becoming the villain. Like she was like here, and now she's like bottom of the barrel. Like, and Layla even reveals that she's actually afraid of Demi, and that she's been manipulated by her before. And we find out while Taylor is on a jet home that Demi has just been out for blood for Taylor. Like she just wants to knock Taylor down off her pedestal. And then Whitney actually meets Demi at Jesse's salon, and Whitney actually validates Demi's feelings about Taylor, like cautiously, but she still does, and this kind of foreshadows the next board vote. And then there's the next brand event with Jay-Z Styles, which is Jesse's business, and then Taylor arrives with Dakota in moth wigs. So Jesse moves the group to a private corner, and the confrontation begins. And Taylor says she apologized to everyone but Demi, and Jesse brings up bullying from Taylor's fans, and then Taylor fires back saying, you guys think I'm dumber than a block, because that's what the text messages read that she read on the chat. And then Taylor claims that Demi doesn't think Jesse's good at hair, and that she's just stuck at Jay-Z Styles, and this is like the ultimate betrayal in a networked business circle. Again, surface level shit. It's like, it's just tiring. It's like, are we writing this drama into this? It's just like the same thing over and over, it seems.
And they're just going to episode 9.
And then we actually have a full cast conversation on Mormonism, which I think is one of the more interesting parts of this whole season, and to talk about doctrine, trauma, afterlife, betrayal, all in a goth Airbnb. But it is really interesting, and it's also interesting to see who's participating in the conversation and who's like looking at their phone and not participating because they know that the Mormon Church might not like what they're talking about and everything. I found it very, very interesting. And then fans actually spotted a thyroid issue from the Chippendales episode, and Jessie is actually diagnosed with nodules and she actually needs surgery. And then Macy shows some genuine friendship and support, and Jessie is still hurt by Demi undermining her hair business, yada yada. And then the girls go to New Orleans, but Taylor dips out and Demi is just relieved by that, of course. And that's when the group gets a group text from Jen, and it's like an apology video, and it's very meaningful and everything, and I'm sure it took a lot for Jen to do that, you know. But of course, Demi, fan favorite, is just cold as a bitch, and she calls Jen cowardly for crying on camera, which is after everything she's been through. I again, no respect. And in other news, they go to a burlesque show and a performer pulls out a joint, and that's when Layla takes a hit without hesitation, which is unexpectedly iconic. Meanwhile, Taylor just is dealing with passive aggressive family drama back in Utah. And then one of the weirdest, most tone deaf parts of the show is this pregnancy roulette game. And it's tone deaf because, as we know, Demi, although, you know, not fan favorite, is struggling with fertility. So this is just so awkward and awful to watch because Michaela and Macy are pregnant, and then obviously Demi is not, and a lot of the other girls are not. And it's just like, the whole thing was just labeled as cruel and deeply insensitive, which I agree it is. And they all discuss the Young Women's Program for Mormon girls, and Jessie questions doctrine, like there were no phones then, and they unpack sealing, which is interesting. Like Jessie is sealed to her ex-husband, and Miranda had her sealing removed and lost eternal ties to her kids, which is a crazy thought to think about. And then men can be sealed to multiple women. This is kind of something I was talking about before. Like in the afterlife, you'll always be sealed to someone you marry, even if you divorce them, but men will always have multiple wives, kind of thing. It's strange. Just the general afterlife doctrine is deeply sexist, basically. It was definitely one of the most raw and eye-opening scenes of the series. And then Jessie tries to reconcile with Demi, and Demi just denies any sort of wrongdoing and offers gaslighting and blame shifting, basically. And then Jessie gave free glam to everyone, and Demi told others to avoid Jessie's salon altogether, that she can't actually do hair that well. And it was just like one of the coldest moments in reality TV betrayal. Like, I don't know how this shift happened with Demi, but she deserves the back of the poster is all I'm saying. And then at a dinner, Demi announces that Taylor is not invited to her Christmas party. Oh no. And she proposes a vote of no confidence to oust Taylor from Nomtalk. And the criteria was, does Taylor contribute? Does she reflect group values? And is she a liability? And Demi overall threatens, if Taylor's in, then I'm out. And no one supports her. And Macy exposes Demi's sabotage of Jessie's business, like trying to make everybody not go to her business and everything, and shit talking her best friend, basically. And Demi's only ally at this point is Whitney, who isn't even on the board, because remember, she got voted out. So it's all pretty funny, and Karma's a bitch, basically. And then we get to the finale, where the drama just picks back up with Layla visiting Taylor in Park City, bringing her a bayonet mix and worse news, because Demi had issued an ultimatum that could impact Taylor's custody arrangement. And she told her that Taylor had also been disinvited to Demi's Christmas party. And they joke about crashing the event, injecting Mean Girls energy into the Mormon mom sphere, which, girl, we're so past that. We're so past that by now. And that's when we cut to said party, which is a lavish affair full of glam, meatballs, and awkward tension, especially when Leanne actually shows up, and her outfit is more PTA chic than party crasher glam, but she still goes head-to-head with Demi in a fiery argument over past betrayals, including the infamous CMA's dramas. And it all just culminates with Demi yelling that Taylor needs therapy and to be a fucking mom. Bitch, what? And Whitney and Brett seem to be the only ones shocked by the spectacle, while the rest of the crowd just pretends that the snow machine makes it all okay. Meanwhile, Macy actually takes a really heavy turn, and she visits the parents of her late boyfriend, Eric, who died in a car crash while she was pregnant with their son, which is horrible. And Macy just just admits that she never properly grieved. And later, Michaela actually accompanies her to Eric's crash site, where Macy breaks down over the unresolved emotions and the fact that she found out that he died via an Instagram post, which I can't even imagine. It's just terrible. Again, one of like the another deep, raw moment in the show that is, that's 3 out of like 10 episodes, and so still grazed over. And then elsewhere, Jesse and Macy bond over friendship dynamics, and Jesse, recovering from that thyroid scare, decides that life is too short to deal with Demi's manipulation bullshit, and she finally gets why Macy avoids choosing sides and values peace and book deals. But everybody's kind of figuring out like where loyalty lies and if they're actually friends or not. And at the Mom Talk board meeting, 3 hot topics are up for vote. Miranda is quietly granted probationary membership, and Whitney is reinstated despite Taylor feeling betrayed, and Demi and Taylor argue again about loyalty, friendship, and past drama, and Jesse drops the mic in a confessional saying Demi talks like a therapist to seem right, even when she's wrong. Damn! Loved it. And finally, in a really bizarre twist, Layla meets up with Marciano from Vanderpump Villa at a ski resort, and he claims he came sniffing around after hearing about women's swingers and tried to actually hook up with Demi. And then with suspiciously reality TV polished gestures, he implied he and Jesse had an affair.
What?
And Layla is just stunned. She's like, what? And the show just ends, just dripping in delusion and clout-chasing energy with the words, "To be continued." That's the show. I don't know. If there's a season 3, I don't think I can handle it. I damn near fell asleep during every episode, and I got distracted, and I don't know. I just, I get so uncomfortable. I get secondhand embarrassment so much when I watch shows, and I got it so much during this, like whether it was for the girls, like when the guys were talking to each other, or the girls talking about the girls about each other, and like just the surface level bullshit and everything. There were obviously a few moments that I think were really deep and important, like Jen's pregnancy kind of realization and depression. I think that's very, very real. Taylor dealing with her family drama and being talked down to by everyone around her. I think that was like very eye-opening and kind of scary. And there are like a few other moments, but overall, I mean, it's hard. And I'm thirsty, and I think I'm gonna go get a swig. Just kidding, I don't have one by me. I don't know if you guys like these kind of videos. I think it's kind of interesting sometimes. Let me know if there's any other shows that you want me to dive into. I actually watched the Paul brother season, and I was gonna do a video on that, but I decided not to. But let me know if you actually want to see that, because I have thoughts on the Paul brothers. But yeah, overall, I just think reality TV is crazy and stupid and mostly garbage, but I also kind of love it. Let me know what you thought of the show.